Hello there, Jose Rodriguez here again. In this video I'm going to be working within LightRoom. I'm using CC 2015. Okay, the question that has been asked a couple of times recently is how to set up your margins, your cell size, how to determine whether you want to have even margins, say around a custom size with a smaller centered image on the paper, or possibly have it printed the old-fashioned, old-school fine art way, which is equal borders on either right or left and top and a slightly wider border in the bottom so that you can apply your signature to it. Now, most of the time people, they agonize over the fact that they must keep the final image in the original aspect ratio of the camera sensor, and that is just not true, folks. You can crop as needed to maintain the greatest composition in the image, whether you have to maybe rotate to get that horizon aligned properly, or say for instance you have to crop off an area that's just not conducive to the final impact of the image. So what if it comes off a little bit of a different aspect ratio? But that's just my nitpicking rant on the subject. And I really seriously believe in not tying yourself to the original aspect ratio. Crop it the way you feel it has to be cropped, and then you place it on the paper the way you feel is the most aesthetically perfect or beautiful way. It's all about beauty. This is art we're creating here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just do a very quick edit here, and I'm going to use the method that I learned from a good individual on the internet, and I will go ahead and proceed. Give me a quick edit here and get my black point all set. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the exposure a wee bit, add some contrast, some clarity. And that's basically it for now. That's all we're going to do. We could do a little bit more, but that's all we're going to do. Now, if I want to crop this, I will go ahead and hold shift and crop it in this manner. And then I will shift the image, maybe put them off center a little bit, like so. And that is all we're going to do. Now we're going to go ahead and move over to the print module. Okay, this is your LightRoom print module. This is a letter size 8.5 by 11. And as you can see, if I print this to the top of the printable margin, remember I'm not printing borderless, so there will be a designated non-print margin on top, on the bottom, on the right, and on the left. So what I normally do is I don't worry about the margins. I'm going to set them all to the minimum setting for the maximum available paper size. Okay, so say for instance I want to print this onto another size paper, and the actual person who posted the question wanted to know, I believe it was 9 by 12. So let's go ahead and create a custom size. And you go into your Canon Pro-1000, which was the printer that was the subject of the question. So I'll go ahead and tailor this specifically to this printer model. And I'll show you, I have a ton of printers here. So we'll stick with the Pro-100 series. We're going to go to properties, and I'm working in Windows, folks. This might be a little bit different on a Mac machine using the Mac driver for the Pro-100, but we're using Windows 7 here. So we're going to go ahead onto the main page. We're going to assure ourselves that we are using color intensity, manual color adjustment, matching, and none. And that turns off color management within the driver, and that's how you do that on a Canon printer. Okay, we are done with the portion of turning off color management. We're going to go to page setup. We're going to go on normal. If you don't do that, if you're not in normal, you see you have other choices here. If you're not in normal, you're not going to be able to reach the custom tab. Here we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a 9 by 12 custom size. And we're going to click OK, and click OK. And now we have that image situated within a 9 by 12 custom paper size. And I use Canson watercolor or aquarella paper, and I love to get it in the 9 by 12 in greater sizes, up to I believe it's 18 by 24, and I print a lot of my landscapes and this sort of subject matter on that particular paper. Okay, so now we have the image fitting the maximum possible space within this paper size, maintaining the minimum borders that you must maintain. There's no way you can possibly change this. This is, this is the unprintable edges. That means that this line right here, this line located right here, from there to the edge of the paper is the unprintable area. area from here until the edge of the paper is the unprintable area. You can see here that it's something like 0.14 inches, 0.13, 0.11, and 0.21. And yes, folks, they are different amounts for each edge, and there's nothing you can do about that. Okay, that's the Canon. So now we want to go ahead and say I want to create a print within this 9 by 12. Let's just pick a border size, say 1-inch borders. So we're going to take the dimension 9 and we're going to remove 2 inches. That's going to be a 7 here. We can hit enter, and the long dimension, that's going to be 12 minus 2, that's going to be 10. So now we have a cell size, in other words, a hole, a virtual hole through that paper through which we can hold this image, say, behind it and move it around. You can move it around within that hole. We're going to hit zoom to fit. Okay, we're going to turn off stroke. Now you can see that I can move this image because it was zoomed large enough to fill this opening, this cell size, from the right edge to the left edge. As you can see, I cannot shift it laterally because it has been zoomed to that perfect size of that cell. If you notice, I have a perfect 1-inch border all the way around. Now this is the type of image that I could shift up a little bit if I want my horizon line to be like right about the thirds, so the rule of thirds applies. Then I will go ahead and set it right about here. Make sure that I have my correct ICC profile picked over here. Go ahead and pick that and hit print, and that is it. There's really nothing that difficult. Let's just say I want to change my cell size. Say I want to have 1 inch all the way around, because this is going to be on fine art paper and I may want to sign it, and I may want to have slightly wider border at the bottom, like the old school way of dry mounting your prints onto boards. Okay, so rather than have the 1-inch border at the bottom, we'll make it a little wider. So we're going to enter 9 here. And whoa, wait a minute. Yes, it is wider at the bottom, wider on the top. That's not really what we wanted, was it? Well, this is where the margins kick in. So we're going to go ahead and adjust the bottom margin. And we'll just move it up right there, 1 inch. And so now I have an inch, an inch, an inch, and a wider bottom. Okay, that's the old school way. Say I want to actually enlarge that cell size a little bit. Maybe 9 is just too much. Let's do 9.5, and I'm going to bring down my margin. And there we go. We have 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and a little bit wider bottom margin. Notice I have not done anything to the other. If I start moving these margins around, I'm basically moving my cell. I am moving the cell that I created. The cell dictates the size dimensions of the image and how they are to be presented on top of the paper, basically. Let's just say we're doing scrapbooking. So the cell size is the size I trim my image. I'm going to paste it on a piece of 9 by 12 paper, and I want to shift it left and right, up and down, until I have it in the correct position. And that's the only function of the margins themselves. So here I have situated it centered onto that 9 by 12. My cell size or hole through that imaginary window is 7 width and 9.5 height. And really that's all there is. So let's just change the subject a little bit. Let's just say we want to do this but actually have a half-inch border. So remember, we started off, let's move all of our margins back to minimum again. Remember, we started off with a 9 by 12. So let's just say we want a half-inch border. So 9 minus 1 inch is 8, and 12 minus 1 is 11. And there we go. Now we have zoom to fill. Remember, if I don't do that, my image ratio just does not fit. It doesn't fit. And you know what? Too bad. That's all there is to it. There's no way you're going to make this contain a half-inch border all around just because you want it that way without having to crop the image. You must crop the image. And the easiest way to do it, you don't even have to do it in the develop module. You don't. You just come into the print module and click zoom to fill, and then you can then adjust it wherever you want it to be. And I like to have my horizons about a third of the way from the bottom. Of course, it could be there. It'll be just as fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Go back over here and do this one. So this just begs to be vertical, right? So let's go ahead and enlarge everything maximum. Now I'm up to the top edge. If I do this borderless, it's going to expand that image anyway, and it'll be just as if I zoom to fill, but without borders. So say I want it with a 1/4 inch border on the top. So we're going to go ahead and make a is celled as 11.5, and we can bring the cell size to just touch the edges of the image. So that might be, say, 7.5. Okay, so as you can see, I cannot shift the image laterally. That means that the cell size now matches the actual width of that image as it is fitted onto this sheet of paper. I have a little bit of room on top. Now, if I can zoom it in, I can now shift it a little bit. But I can be assured that I now have 1/4 inch on the top, 1/4 inch on the bottom, and the same with the lateral borders. They will be identical. And you know, long story short, the point I'm trying to make here is that we fret too much about borders. If you notice that I can do this by hand, by the way, just basically infinitely adjustable, and I don't worry about the widths. I want my image to be centered somewhat, cropped for the best aesthetics, and that's it. I print it, I frame it. If I have to do custom matting, I do it. But I want the image to have the most impact to the viewer, the actual viewer. I just don't understand why people have to rant so much about this and rave so much about getting everything just perfect. The borders have really not much to do with the actual image itself. Concentrate on your images, present them the best way you can for the best impact possible. And that's basically it. Okay, so if you like this video, please like it. If you would like to subscribe, I encourage you to do so. I will have pretty much a constant flow of content for the next years as long as I'm healthy. So until the next time, happy printing. Bye-bye.